Welcome back. I'm not in school. Oh, how about that? All right, but I do have a wonderful Black History Month essay contest that we're going to research and do some pre-writing for. This is what I was planning to do even if I were there. So this is something that you just kind of have to work your way through so that you have this information kicking around in your head when you finally sit down to draft in a week or so. So this is a sort of in-depth pre-writing. Let's get into it. Black History Month essay contest, research and pre-writing. Here's our central guiding question. This is from the different options. Is it important to have Black History Month, or should it be considered part of American history? We're going to be talking and thinking about this out loud, so I need you to open up a Vocaroo. This is going to be part of your subwork, so if you skip it, I'm not grading your work. All right, so please make sure you don't skip this so that you don't get a 0. All right, now that you've got a running Vocaroo, you can go right ahead to slide 3. On slide 3, the directions read, do some verbal pre-writing by opening the links and describing what you see and read for 5 minutes for each link. There are 6 links, so this is about a half hour's worth of conversation with you and your computer and you and your partner or you and your group, just not getting up from your assigned seat. So this is working with your group, your partner, or by yourself. Let's go ahead and do the searchable museum link 1. Now, I'm going to look at the clock, 6:37. That means I'm going to be reading through link 1 for 5 minutes till about 6:42. Let's go ahead and engage in that practice now. So I'm going to open this link, and it's going to take me to the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. And this beautiful little graphic here takes us to their searchable online museum, a place to explore history through an African American lens. It looks like its central story, at least now, is John Saunders Chase Jr., born on January 23rd, 1925, was the first licensed black architect in Texas. You can discover his story as well as at the Vanguard, as well as in Slavery's Wake. Something called Constellations. We have Discover Stories, Explore Stories, and we have, it looks like a little sideways slideshow of different articles. One around Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina devastated many communities in New Orleans. Learn about the storm's impact in New Orleanians' determination to build their communities. George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver was a scientist, inventor, and artist. Learn how his research at the Tuskegee University improved the lives of black farmers. Monroe and Florence Work were sociologists who studied African American life. Learn how their research revealed truths about the black experience. Margaret Walker was a writer and teacher at Jackson State University. Learn about her career as a novelist, poet, and educator. I confess to not having read her, so I think that's where I'm going to go to because I love literature. In black literature specifically is wonderful, but I just want to make sure that I don't miss out on anything because I'm only here for another 4 minutes because it's 5 minutes per link. Octavius Cato was a civil rights activist in Pennsylvania. Learn about his life and impact in Philadelphia's black community during Reconstruction. Well, it's closer to home. The Atlanta washerwoman strike. In 1881, washerwomen in Atlanta formed a union, went on a strike to demand better wages. Learn about the harsh conditions they faced and how they won. Or Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka. The Brown v. Board decision overturned segregation in public schools. Learn how the Legal Defense Fund built lawsuits to challenge segregation in the courts. There's a lot going on there. I do want to revisit Margaret Walker, but before I move on, I still want to keep exploring this link. How we know what we know, methods, tools, and sources used to study African American history and culture. Oh, that's called like a methodological inquiry. I love that, and it helps us with something called an epistemology, how you know what you know, an epistemology of history. We could visit the museum, plan your visit. Oh, that would be so great. You guys do go to Washington, D.C. in 8th grade, and I'm hoping that you guys can make it to that museum. There's a wonderful passage of it in a book called Kings of Bmore, which is written by, not Brian Washington. The name is suddenly escaping me a little bit. Kings of Bmore. R. Eric Thomas. Oh, and I read his essay collection. But they go on a visit to the Museum of African American History in Washington, D.C., and it is quite a showstopper of a of that part of the book. All right, so I'm going to take this time since I'm at my leisure for 2 more minutes. I'm going to take a look at Margaret Walker a little closer. There's a picture of her there. Who is Margaret Walker? Margaret Abigail Walker was born in Birmingham, Alabama in 1915. When she was a young girl, her family moved to New Orleans, Louisiana, where she attended the Gilbert Academy, a private college preparatory school for African Americans. While at Gilbert, she met poet Langston Hughes, who encouraged her interest in literature. Walker later moved to Chicago and earned a Bachelor of Arts in English from Northwestern University, the Harvard of the West Coast, in 1935. 1 year later, she became an active member of the South Side Writers Group alongside notables like Richard Wright, who wrote Native Son. That is a book I very much enjoy. Arna Bontemps and Fenton Johnson. And she also worked for the Federal Writers Project with Gwendolyn Brooks and Frank Yerby. I've read some of Gwendolyn Brooks' poetry. Frank Yerby I haven't, I confess. In 1943, while teaching at Livingston College in North Carolina, Walker married Furness Alexander, and by 1949, Walker and her husband relocated to Jackson, Mississippi, so Walker could teach at Jackson State University. Walker taught at Jackson State for 30 years while raising a family with 4 children. Oh, like me, sort of. It has a featured video. Ooh. Oh, let's go. So there's a video that I can watch too, and I can comment on it while it's going. This is great. 5 minutes is a lot of time, but a good time. Okay. All right, and they're about to really get into it. So you can see each one of these links, the searchable museum, right? They're all from that searchable museum, but you open each one. This one you give and dedicate 5 minutes of conversation to. This link here, you dedicate 5 minutes of conversation to. And look at all the different stuff you can explore here. Just a lovely way to set up the site and these different exhibits. Searchable museum link right here. You can learn about the flag, like I just clicked on. Sorry. Here, oh, it looks like there's a little overlap there. So you only have to do 4. So I guess it's only 20 minutes. The Ebony Test Kitchen, and then searchable link 6. This wonderful. There's so much to do, and each of those links, except for the flag, which repeats for the 4th. Sorry about that. That should be about 20 minutes worth of conversation. All right, let's go ahead and get into the next one. So, just a reminder, do this activity now. I'm going to ask that you pause my video and that you go ahead and take yourself through the 20 minutes worth of discussion. That will be out loud. Hey, Miss Louise. All right, I'm recording something. You can go ahead and check in with Frankie.
I need the thermometer.
The thermometer? I'll get you the thermometer in a little bit, all right? But I'll make that decision.
Mommy,
Yeah, I'll get it soon, honey, but I'm recording something right now. Can you go back to mommy and say daddy's working?
can I have my muffins?
1. So, uh, if you could please pause my video now, but continue to record your Vocaroo and talk for 20 minutes about the different links that relate to this question. Is it important to have Black History Month, or should it be considered part of American history? All right, at the whistle, pause it, and then when you're done, we can resume this video for the rest of the slides. Good work. Now, directions. Read the article. Number 2, type out 1 sentence from each paragraph that helps answer the essay question. We're going to do this for the next 2 slides, and then I'll show you how to finish up. All right, but I need you to do this for all slides, of course, but I'll be reading out loud just the first 2, just to give you a sense of what you're doing. You can certainly follow along with me if you like. Type out 1 sentence from each paragraph that helps answer the essay question, contest question. Is it important to have Black History Month, or should it be considered part of American history? Well, let's read this paragraph. No one has played a greater role in helping all Americans know the Black past than Carter G. Woodson, the individual who created Negro History Month in Washington, D.C. in February 1926. Woodson was the second Black American to receive a Ph.D. in history from Harvard, following W.E. Du Bois by a few years. To Woodson, the Black experience was too important simply to be left to a small group of academics. Woodson believed that his role was to use Black history and culture as a weapon in the struggle for racial uplift. By 1916, Woodson had moved to D.C. and established the quote-unquote Association for the Study of Negro Life and Culture, an organization whose goal was to make black history accessible to a wider audience. Woodson was a strange and driven man whose only passion was history, and he expected everyone to share his passion. Wow. The one that is certainly sticking out to me is that it should be believed that the role of black history should be as a weapon of cultural uplift. So I'm going to type that exact quote right over here. Woodson believed that his role was to use black history and culture as a weapon in the struggle for racial uplift. Now that I've got that, I'm going to submit my answer. Boom, submitted, and I will go on to the next one. All right, let's do this one more time. I'm going to read through this paragraph, and again, I'm looking for things that help me answer this question. Is it important to have Black History Month, or should it be considered part of American history? This impatience led Woodson to create Negro History Month in 1926 to ensure that school children be exposed to black history. Woodson chose the second week of February in order to celebrate the birthday of Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. It is important to realize that Negro History Week was not born in a vacuum. The 1920s saw the rise and interest in African American culture that was represented by the Harlem Renaissance, where writers like Langston Hughes, Georgia Douglas Johnson, Claude McKay, who wrote a great book I very much recommend called Romance in Marseille, great little book, wrote about the joys and sorrows of blackness, and musicians like Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, and Jimmy Luciford captured the new rhythms of the cities created in part by the thousands of Southern blacks who migrated to urban centers like Chicago. And artists like Aaron Douglas, Richmond Bart, and Lewis Jones created images that celebrated blackness and provided more positive images of African Americans' experience. I'm going to go with that last one because the question is, should we study black history or should it just be part of American history? And I think the last one shows the need to study black history specifically because they have to counteract a particular force, a force born of time and history and repetition. So I'm going to copy that last sentence down now. So it starts with an and artists like Aaron Douglas, Richmond Bart, and Lewis Jones created images that celebrated blackness and provided more positive images of the African American experience. I'm going to submit that answer and so on. I'll be doing just one sentence per through the entire rest of the article. Oh my gosh, let me get this thing out of here. Let's collapse that. There you go. So you'll be doing that for about, about 19 slides, a paragraph apiece. All right. And then at the end, after you've read everything, when you see orange, you know that you read it out loud, right? When you see red, you know that you type it over here, that you type what's read. So this is to help your thinking with the essay question and the article you just finished. So you would put the first one, number 1, although black history, see how I'm copying what's in red over here, is inseparable from American history, Black History Month remains important because, well, if I remember back to what I wrote earlier about how Carter G. Woodson thought that it should be used as a weapon for uplift against oppression, which was part of the second paragraph where we wrote about how there needed to be positive images, right? Because the history of oppression is critical in a full appraisal of the black experience. Now, I'm going to go on with maybe some of those other 9 sentence starters, right, of which I'm responsible for finishing to address that. That's just how you would do number 1. You can certainly copy mine. I am going to spell check inseparable, all right? And then 2, you would go on since Carter
G.
Woodson, right? You'll be finishing all of those, so and so on and so on. Then you'll go ahead and close out your Vocaroo on slide 21. If you're completely done super duper early, you've read everything out loud with fidelity, there are word searches for you. Don't worry, I still got you. All right, but first you want to close out that Vocaroo. You want to click Save and Share. I think you know you got to click that double block. And then if you could, go ahead and Control V right off to the right for me, please, and submit that answer. I'll be listening to that first just to get a sense of, did you read it? Did you follow directions? When you see orange, do you know to read out loud? When you see red, do you know to type it? And so on and so forth. All right, so I appreciate all you're doing while I'm not in the room, and I will be back soon, and I can't wait. You know I love my job. All right, have a good one.